What the Seriously, what the I don't mean to start the review out on a vulgar note, but I could not believe those last 2 minutes. Or not even that, the last minute of the episode. I mean, that last minute pissed me off so much that I don't know how I'm going to be able to do a constructive review of the episode when that is in the back of my mind. Okay, well, all right. First of all, for the most part, this was a very good, very well written, very well acted, very well directed season premiere. Their season 3 premiere of Arrow. It's called The Calm, or at least I believe that's what that's called. And basically, the whole plot of the episode is Oliver and all the guys over at Starling City are doing very well. Crime has decreased. Oliver is trying to take back his company. And he's thinking, things are going so well that maybe I can have a double life as Oliver Queen. So he hence why he chooses to ask Felicity out on a date and finally kind of open up a little. And in addition, he's kind of growing more concerned for Diggle. Diggle, who is apparently not going out in the field anymore. Him and Detective Lance. Diggle's not going out in the field anymore because he now has a baby, and Detective Lance because he just physically can't, or he's not supposed to go out in the field. Does he listen? No, of course not. And Oliver is encountering some unexpected unexpected obstacles, or one unexpected obstacle in taking back his company, in the form of Ray Palmer, this tech genius from out of town, who's played by Brandon Routh, and he by far makes a better case to why he should get Queen consolidated rather than Oliver. And in addition to that, there's a new guy in town, played by Peter Stormare. I forget his name, but Peter Stormare basically takes up the mantle of Count Vertigo, having a genuine love for the drug and making some improvements to where it's basically Scarecrow's fear toxin. That's basically what it is. It shows you your worst fear. It sends you into this psychedelic thing. It's basically the effect looks and acts the same way as the fear toxin from Batman Begins. But yeah, overall, I thought all these plot lines were juggled very well. I thought they fit with the overall theme of the episode, which was change. I apologize if I'm rushing through this review, but I actually thought there was some very poignant stuff said about the whole dual identities concept. And from a fanboy perspective, I enjoyed seeing Roy go out as Arsenal. He's not Red Arrow, he's not Speedy, he's Arsenal, and he's solving crimes with the Green Arrow. He disables a bomb. He doesn't really get much in the way of character this time around, which I will admit is a little disappointing. He's a little shortchanged. They couldn't really find much for him to do in this episode. I don't know. There's always next episode, but yeah, I like the very casual nature that they have developed in going out on missions together. I mean, Oliver's like, Roy, take to the streets, suit up, and Roy's like, got it. I mean, it's this very comfortable relationship that I felt that I think they really needed to get down. And from what little we saw of it, I think they did get it down. And as always, the stunt work is great. The music is what you can expect. I mean, it's this very loud, booming music. And like I said, there were some characters who were shortchanged. Theo wasn't around, so the episode only got better from there since Theo wasn't around. But that also meant we didn't really get any Malcolm Merlyn, so we didn't really get any conclusion to what they set up in the season finale of last season. And as for the flashbacks, Oliver is no longer on the island. He's in Hong Kong, and he's encountering Katana, who is played by Ryla Fukushima. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Who basically played Yukio in The Wolverine. Again, she didn't really get much to do. We didn't really get too much in the way of what is going on in the flashbacks. We just know that Amanda Waller wants Oliver to do something, and Oliver, considering he's basically lost everything at this point, he just wants to go home. He's been on the island for 2 years. He's lost his friends on the island. He just wants to go home, so he feels like he has nothing to lose. And the fact that Amanda Waller threatened Ryla Fukushima and her family, then On one hand, I thought that was, again, kind of going a little bit too far with the character of Amanda Waller, but um, on the other hand, I do think it's kind of showing that gradual progression where Oliver is turning into the hero that we saw him fully evolved as in season 1. So all that stuff is great. But as you probably guessed by the somewhat rush pace of this review, I am kind of anxious to get to, first of all, I have to comment on Peter Stormare as the villain because he is a much better Count Vertigo than Seth Gable. Seth Gable, Seth Gable, he was not at the least bit menacing. He wasn't even a fun villain. He was just a loser. I mean, he was hammy. He was frilly. I just could not take him seriously, and frankly, he really annoyed me. And I did not show any signs of distress when he got killed off. Peter Stormare, I'm glad they didn't kill him off. I would love to see him come back and do another episode as Count Vertigo because, yeah, he could be he could be the type of guy who takes pride in his own work. I mean, he clearly enjoys what he does, but at the same time, he's actually threatening, and he's actually functional as the bad guy. He hits close to Oliver. I mean, when he RPGs that restaurant, and when he sets the bomb at the stadium to wipe out the other gang. This is a guy who gets stuff done. Good God. So yeah, and even the way he was acted, it was more menacing. I think part of that has to do with Peter Stormare being a more experienced actor than Seth Gable. Not that Seth Gable's a quote unquote bad actor, but again, I just thought Peter Stormare, not only did he fit the character more, but also he functioned much better as just a villain. Even taking the whole Count Vertigo thing out of it, Peter Stormare makes is such an awesome villain in this episode. And what I really loved is that the reason he took up the mantle of Vertigo is because he really respected the drug itself. So it's not just a gimmick that he's using. I mean, he respected the drug, he respected the effect that it had, and the fact that he kind of made it his own by quote unquote making improvements to it, I actually thought was a really nice touch. However, that last minute, you saw in all the trailers, Sarah comes back to Starling City, and Katie Lotz has been very active in promoting the show. She has been in nearly all of the interviews up to this point. So I, like everyone else, was thinking, maybe she's going to become a regular again, like she was during the latter half of season 2. I mean, I'd love to see some of the interactions that she has not only with Oliver, but with Roy when they're out in the field. So there's that, and also that little interaction that Oliver had with her on the rooftop. I've heard some fans complain that she's not the traditional Black Canary. The banter between her and the Green Arrow doesn't feel like it did in the comics or even Justice League Unlimited. This was the first time where I actually thought they were kind of getting the witty banter down, more to the point of, the traditional Green Arrow and Black Canary dialogue. So we were finally at a point where we could please the hardcore comic book fans. I wasn't necessarily one who had a problem with it. I could just look at these as performances and interpretations of these characters. And again, with this conversation on the rooftop, I felt like they were finally getting to the point where they could please hardcore comic book fans with these interactions, and people could really officially, or hardcore comic book fans could officially refer to this as the Black Canary. They could drop the whole, when is Laurel going to become Black Canary, blah, blah, blah. But then the scene ends. Sarah goes to see Laurel, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, off screen, you hear this guy say, "Hello, Sarah." He didn't say it like that. That sounded like Manu Bennett, kind of. But this guy off screen says, "Hello, Sarah," and she's shot with 3 arrows, and she falls off a building, and she's dead. And the episode ends with Laurel cradling Sarah's body in her arms. Okay. It's not just my fanboyism getting the better of me and causing me to go into this rage. It may seem like that on the surface. Part of why I'm so pissed And I don't know if I'm in a minority on this, but part of why I was so pissed is, like I said before, Katie Lotz, the actress, was very active in a lot of the promotional, in the majority of the promotional campaign for season 3. She's in most, if not all, of the trailers. She's in the trailer, saying, "Come on, I haven't been gone that long." So I, like many other people, were thinking, "Oh, she could be back." And right away, those hopes are dashed. And I know that was the intention. I know, I'm not stupid. I know that was the intention to increase the shock value. But it honestly just felt like a cheat more than anything. And maybe, again, part of the reason I'm so pissed off is because inevitably the mantle of the Black Canary has to pass over to Laurel now, especially with her being in the inner circle of Oliver's little secret. I don't like Laurel. I don't. I really don't. I've never liked Laurel. From the very beginning, I've never liked her. It's nothing to do with Katie Cassidy's performance, but Katie Lotz was just so much better. I could buy her in the action scenes because she did the majority of her own stunts. She's a better actress than Katie Cassidy. She was a more likable character. The character of Sarah was more interesting and more likable than Laurel. I mean, Laurel was just a shrew. She was a moron. And theoretically, they could have done some type of or they tried to do some type of redemption story arc where she kind of came back from her alcoholism and her pill popping and, tried to come back better than she was before. But again, it doesn't change the fact that the character from the very beginning has just been, there's only so much one actress can do, and I don't think Katie Cassidy has action chops, or at least not from what I've seen. At least not to the point where it seems as natural as Katie Lotz. And I almost have to wonder, were they, how much pressure were they under to pass the mantle of the Black Canary over to Laurel? I have to wonder that. I know this vlog is going a little long-winded at this point, but I have to address this. Because I've heard a lot of people say, when is Sarah going to die so we can get Laurel? Okay. Why does Sarah have to die? Why can't this show go in its own direction? I mean, this kind of brings me back to the whole Clone Wars issue, the Star Wars Clone Wars issue of, when is Ahsoka going to die? Who says she has to die? From the very beginning of that show, I was saying, she could just leave. I mean, no one says she has to be killed off before Revenge of the Sith rolls around, and it was the same deal with Sarah. Who says Sarah has to die? I mean, if you want to ease Laurel into the role of the Black Canary, then I disagree with that concept, but again, it would have been less insulting than this to kill off a good character. Partially, I have to wonder, partially to make room for a not so good character to take over their role. I just found that to be pretty insulting, especially after we saw her be so awesome in season 2, be such a great introduction to the cast. I mean, I don't know how prominent a role she's going to play, if we're going to get some flashbacks to her in the League of Assassins, I don't know. But again, I was really enjoying this character. Like I said, she's definitely one of the better female characters on the show, and now she's gone. Unless they do some kind of Lazarus Pit thing. But even then, the Lazarus Pit makes you crazy. I don't know. Like I said, I'm just kind of speculating here, just kind of getting my thoughts on paper. I mean, maybe given a little more time, I can digest this a little bit better, because as I said, the episode on a whole was a very accomplished episode and a very good season premiere. I even liked how they tied it into the scene that we saw last night in The Flash with the cameo by Green Arrow. I liked how they tied that in, but man, that last minute or so, that last minute to 2 minutes, it just really, I don't want to say got under my skin, because this is a piece of entertainment, but I felt like they pulled a Game of Thrones. I don't even think I got this mad over the Red Wedding. Yeah, it just seemed pretty jarring. It really did. And it seemed kind of insulting to just kill off the character of Sarah like that. I can't snap my fingers, but just to kill her off just like that, willy-nilly. I could very well be overreacting. I mean, I'm sure maybe the 2 people who watch my videos, maybe they'll tell me in the comment section that I'm overreacting. But yeah, I I did just kind of need to vent to something or someone, more something because I am talking to a camera. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the season premiere of Arrow. On a whole, the episode is very good. I mean, from a technical aspect, from a performance aspect, from a directorial aspect. I mean, all these things from a script aspect. All these things were good, and I really liked Brandon Routh's performance as Ray Palmer. I forgot to mention that. But yeah, maybe I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was, or I do know what it was, but I don't know what. I don't really know what it should say for my overall opinion of the episode when those last 2 minutes just bothered me so much. I don't know. Make of it what you will.